Has God ever asked you to give up something that you wanted to hold on to for dear life? Well, I have mastered the art of not being attached to anything because I know it could be a matter of a moment where God's like, release that, let it go. I have something better for you. But in those moments, it can be really tough to release it because we can't see what is ahead. But when we do, it allows God to move in an area that we're actually praying for God to move in. And I really want to give you such a powerful example of how this looked for me in real time. And welcome to Business Redefined. This is not business as usual. And so we do things a little different here. We, allow God to lead us, to guide us. We're building our businesses with God at the center. And a lot of times as kingdom people, who are growing and scaling, we just have a different type of mentality. Success is just different for us. And I'm actually hosting an event, Million Dollar Impact, and I have been talking back and forth, communicating with this one specific venue for a really long time, for the past few months. And I was actually about to get the contract signed for this event. Now, I want you to keep in mind that when God first called me to host this event, I did not know how I was going to pay for it. I didn't have the provision. And a lot of the times, God gives us a vision that is so big that we're like, I don't have the resources for this. But that's why God gave it to us, because it requires us to depend on Him in another way more than what we ever have before. And it's honestly this entire process of hosting this event and putting this event on. It's something I've never done before, but it's also something that has been challenging me and exposing me in so many different ways. Like, I really thought, and I do have the gift of faith. I have really strong faith and belief in what God has called me to and what God calls me to step into. And I really continuously put courage into practice, but this entire process has revealed and exposed the doubts that I am starting to have. And it's just requiring me to lean into God. And God allows us to go through these situations because it exposes us for what He's about to do. Like, what qualifies us for the blessing is the trial. What qualifies us for what He's going to provide us are how we are being developed in the tough moments. Like, are you willing to continue to show up and do whatever it takes, even when it's not going the way you want it to go? Are you able to hold the vision of what He's called you to do when it doesn't look like how you thought it was going to look? This is what I'm constantly being challenged with. And so in this moment, when God is telling me, I was about to sign this contract for this other venue, and God immediately is like, no, you're not hosting it there anymore. And immediately I'm like, okay, I've learned my lesson, you guys. I've learned my lesson. If God says to let it go, I just let it go. Because I just know that God is going to provide something on the other side. Now, is it risky? Yes, because we are less than 70 days away from this event. But I let it go anyways. And tell me why. That night, I was on Instagram and I saw a venue. I clicked it. It was absolutely perfect. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I send this link to the covering for the event. And I told her, I said, look at this venue. Like, what do you think about it? And she goes, actually, God told me last night that venue you were about to sign at isn't where you were supposed to go. Which, mind you, she didn't know I had this conversation with God. She had no idea. So that right there was just a confirmation of me moving and actually hearing God when He speaks. Because when we hold on to something and we are like trying to remain in control of something that God wants us to let go, but we don't want to let it go, and we start, combating with Him and like talking back to Him or trying to negotiate with Him to keep something that He's trying to get rid of for you, it doesn't make space for Him to move the way you want Him to move and the way He can move to provide the result that you're actually praying and desiring. And so what this looked like is I sent her the venue and I'm like, okay, so I reach out to them. I put in my request. The next day, they call me and they say, hey, has anyone contacted you yet? And I'm like, no. And they're like, I want you to know that there is someone who we are communicating with who wants to book the venue for the same weekend. They only chose one day, but your event is multiple days. So we would rather give it to you. But we just need to know if this is something you're truly serious about wanting to move forward with. If so, we can book the venue, we can talk about all the details and all the things. So I'm like, immediately, I'm already in Dallas. So I'm like, hey, just send me the address. I'm about to pull up. So I wasn't even allowed technically to go inside the building, but they let me view the outside because they were renting it off to someone else. But when I got there, they were setting it up. So I asked the girl that I met outside, I'm like, hey, are you hosting an event? She was like, yeah. And I'm like, do you mind if I look around? Because I'm thinking about hosting something here. And she was really kind and allowed me to look around. I'm like, this is perfect. So I leave and I look at the cost difference between this event and the other venue that I was going to book. And the cost difference is night and day. And when I say night and day, $20,000 difference, just as nice. Isn't that insane? And so I told the woman who is covering the event, who's a pastor and my mentor, and I just said, hey, what do you think? What are you feeling as you see this event? Like, what is God sharing with you? She just basically said, go for it. And I felt that confirmation from God myself. I went there and I was just so excited because I just received so much vision. And honestly, like the next day I signed the contract, I paid the deposit, boom. All of this happened in 2 days after God said to let it go. So this is a great reminder and something to just realize, if I would have negotiated or tried to negotiate with God about keeping the venue, even though he already told me to let it go, I would have potentially not been able to get this venue that he had for me. There are some blessings that are time sensitive, that require you to move in the exact moment that God says to move. And if you find yourself being in a situation where you want to hold on, where you just can't let it go, this is where you really need to look within yourself and be like, am I doing this in my own strength? Or am I allowing him to be Lord of my life? When he is Lord of your life, you just move differently. And that just means like there is more work within you to work on. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's just something that you should be aware of. Like, self-awareness is so powerful, because when you're self-aware, that means you have what you need to change it. And I was actually sending a voice message to my Inner Circle Mastermind this week, and I was sharing with them how I saw something that said, your life, your fault. And I know that God allows us to go through really tough circumstances. Even in Deuteronomy 8 is a really perfect picture of, God taking them through a wilderness season, but he did that to test their character. He did that to mold them. He did that to build them up for when he gives them the blessing that he has for them. Like, are they going to forget God? Are they going to show up in the right way? Is their character going to be fine? Because he's not going to give us something that's going to ruin you. He refuses to give you something that you aren't able to handle. He doesn't want you to crumble and fall. And when I think about this mini testimony that is a part of a really big testimony of $1 million impact, it just reminds me to continue trusting in God. Because for the past 2 months, when I said I was holding and had all this doubt, the doubt was coming from me not knowing how it was going to turn out. Me understanding that I don't really think that I have the capacity for this. Me unsure if I'm really built for this. But I have to realize, I can't do this, which is why I need God. Why would he give me something that I would be able to do on my own? And that's something for you to take. That's something for you to lean on, because I genuinely have been dependent on God every single step of the way. And me putting the deposit down for the event is kind of like, oh my gosh, this is really happening. Although I knew it was really happening, it just feels more real. And now it's like, wow, he literally set this up. He made a way, he provided the provision, and he's given me a word. He's given me a word. And that word was, this event is going to transform so many women's lives. And the provision for the event is already provided for. Like, there's nothing I need to be concerned about. And so I continuously am just reminding myself to be detached from, yes, the outcome, but be detached from how I think it should go, and move when God says move. And this can relate to absolutely anything. So I have, like, in my notes here, it's like we have to learn the art of detachment and release control, because it opens the door for him to move, and for him to move very fast. I've been listening to this book, Gradually Then Suddenly, but that's exactly how God moves. It's God gives you this vision that you don't have the resources for ahead of time. He's testing your faith to see if you're going to take action towards it. And he's allowing you to become the person who can actually steward and receive the vision that he has for you. And this is just a testament of that. And I'm so excited for what God is going to continue to do, and how he's going to show up with this event and exceed my expectations. And I would be doing you a disservice if I didn't invite you to this event. It's going to be insane. It's going to be so much fun. You're going to meet sisters. You're going to learn how to build your personal brands, how to use your voice, really have those voice activations, learn wealth strategies, all of the things to equip you with everything that you need to build $1 million impact and beyond. Because this isn't just about making money, although that's going to happen. This is about service. This is about legacy. This is about impact, and the impact that God has put you on this earth to lead. He's given you a mission to lead. You were born for this. And so I really pray that this was like motivation for you. And you can go to michaelainspires.org/$1 million impact. You can just click the link in the show notes in the description, because I know that when I announce my speakers really soon, the tickets are going to go very, very fast. And so this is your chance to get ahead of the wave. Thank you so much for tuning in, for listening. I really love being the leader who gives you the leader who shows you the real behind the scenes of what it looks like to build a founder-led brand, a business rooted with God, because it's not all sunshine and rainbows. I can live in sunshine and rainbows even when the storm is happening around me, but it's about you being willing to take the action to still live in that mindset despite the chaos that is happening. And as people who are doing kingdom work, you're going to be attacked, and you're going to have struggles, trials. And we just have to know that heaven's armies is backing us. When you make moves in that conviction of what God said, you have to know that you are being backed by heaven in the spirit. And that's what you have to stand on. And don't allow Satan to trick you. He tries to trick you with what you can see, but you have to keep your vision of what God gave you, because that is what's going to help you continue to move forward. And that's what helped me even in my darkest moment of going through domestic violence. I remember laying in my bed, God showing me a vision of myself. I'm like, God, that is not me. I don't know who that is. And it was a vision of me speaking really confident on stage, all the things. And in that moment, I was nothing like that person. I was not confident. I could barely look at myself in the mirror. I mean, I was down bad, y'all. I was very down bad. As you can imagine, I was just suffocated and had a black eye. I had so much shame and I had guilt. And to see that person, I and becoming that person every single day. And like, I can look back and be like, wow, I'm so proud of her because she allowed that vision that God gave her to continue to help her to show up. And she kept her faith and she trusted even when she had no idea how it was going to turn out. And that's the same thing that I'm doing over and over again, because at every single level that God brings you to, it causes you to expand your capacity. He stretches you because he knows that you can handle it. And then once you even get a taste of being comfortable, of like, this is going real good, boom, stretches you again. But it's fine because he's got you. He's got you. And that's all you need to know. So I can't wait to hopefully see you in October. Thank you so much for being here. Let me know if there's any topics you want me to cover. I would love to yap about it. Just let me know. And I love you. Okay, bye.